Why are conservatives bad, Mommy? Because I thought we were supposed to conserve things.
Meanwhile,
a new NBC News poll shows only 32% of voters have a positive view of Vice President Kamala Harris. That compares to 49% viewing her negatively and 39% with a very negative view. This leaves Harris with a net rating of -17. That is the lowest rating for any vice president in this poll's history.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I feel like I do this video every couple months, right? But there's a new poll showing that Kamala Harris has notched the lowest approval rating of any vice president in NBC News polling history. Okay, so for an NBC News poll, we know this is a liberal media poll, so we know that it's slanted to favor Democrats. Kamala Harris has the lowest approval rating. In fact, it's a net negative. Okay, it's a net negative approval rating. She has the lowest approval rating in history. And what's crazy about this is that she's the worst vice president in history, the most disliked vice president in history, despite the fact that, again, we've had recent vice presidents go through COVID, the Great Recession. Dick Cheney shot his friend in the face, and all of them, okay, Mike Pence, Joe Biden, Dick Cheney, all of them more likable than Kamala Harris, okay? And, you know, who knows? According to mainstream liberal media, The View is probably going to go on air tomorrow and blame racism. They're going to say, well, it's the white man's fault, right? And that America's racist, and that's why people don't like Kamala. This is what they always say when this poll comes out showing that Kamala Harris is not liked.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's about her laughing, because I agree. I think that would be very inappropriate, and that's something that they do to women. I think that she has gone on multiple occasions a little bit underprepared with some of the questions that she's been asked. Lester Holt asked her a pretty basic question that she couldn't answer. So I don't know if it's a staff thing. She's not prepared enough. Perhaps she's not expecting the questions. I don't know what it is, but I think that's the issue. This is like the fourth or fifth time.
What it is that they constantly question the qualifications of black women, and that's why people are saying that she's unprepared. And
I disagree. I think she's
you can disagree, but that's the truth of it. And so this is based in racism. This is based in misogyny, and we're talking about a woman that has extensive experience abroad, extensive experience as an attorney, extensive experience as the chief legal officer of one of our largest states in the country. And I think this is just much ado about nothing. I mean,
yeah, it's just racism, right? It's just racism, okay? It can't be the fact that she's been a disaster on the border. It can't be the fact that every time she gives a speech, she says the exact same thing over again. That means absolutely nothing, right? Nobody can understand what she's saying, but she says it over and over and over again as if it's extremely profound.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been, you know? What can be unburdened by what has been. 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 What we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Who we can be unburdened by who we have been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Where we can be unburdened by where we have been and unburdened by where we are right now. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What could be unburdened by what had been. What can be unburdened by what has 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 been. Unburdened by what has been, believing in what can be. What can be unburdened by what has been.
Okay, it can't be the fact that, you know, she basically is spending most of her time doing these pointless interviews and giving these very awkward speeches where she either laughs or, you know, she's saying things to be extra woke, things that the average person can't really relate to. Like, for example, calling women pregnant people and all types of other just silly things that Kamala Harris has been doing lately. Take a look.
So many of our young leaders have talked to me about it, and they've told me, well, you know, we have a name for it. It's called climate anxiety. In this moment, given all the threats we face, it is our young leaders who understand clearly the clock is not just ticking, it is banging. fact that in our country we're looking at somewhere around 600 bills being proposed or passed, anti-LGBTQ bills, book bans, a policy approach that is don't say gay, people in fear for their life, people afraid to be. And also, in the thing that she's been doing and what doulas will advocate for is you as the pregnant person, as a pregnant woman, create a team. Mm-hmm. And your team will include your doctor and your doula.
Now, secondly, I'm going to tell you the banger of the summer, okay? That you need to play for your people, and they're going to love it. Okay. Everybody's going to go crazy.
Okay. I like it.
Yes.
I like
this
it.
is the song of the summer, okay? So you need to tell the DJ to have that going, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Will we ever get a Madam VP Converse line?
Oh, that's interesting. I do love my Converse.
I mean, you wear them well.
I have all kinds of different colors and high top and low top. I prefer the low top. If I did, I'd probably want like a freedom line, you know, right?
Yes.
Can you see that? Where
absolutely.
It would be some freedom would be on the Converse. You know, freedom to be,
Absolutely.
Freedom to.
I am free.
Right. I am free. Free to march. Free to walk my talk.
Madam VP Kamala Harris's
Freedom line.
Freedom line.
Yeah, so all of this is a part of an effort from the White House and the mainstream liberal media to get Kamala Harris off her knees, which is a rare moment for Kamala, okay? She's always on her knees. The things that go into her mouth are probably more important and probably have gotten her further in her career than things that come out of her mouth, because every time she speaks, she basically says something that makes her look dumb. Again, this is a part of an effort to get Kamala off her knees. And to get her approval rating up, because most likely she's going to be on a ticket with Biden in 2024. However, clearly this is not working. She's just a laughing stock. She's a butt of people's jokes. And she's just not marketable. As Jesse Waters, who is taking over Tucker's primetime slot on Fox News, puts it so eloquently.
Well, I think Donald Trump might be more popular if the Department of Justice wasn't leaking evidence in the middle of a criminal investigation.
Audio,
just think about all of the terrible things, though, that the media can make popular. Disco, Don Lemon, margarine. You remember they had people out there that used to chant, save the whales, save the whales. But now the windmills are murdering all the whales, and they're like, you know what? They had it coming. You don't understand what's going on. The media can market anything except Kamala Harris, and they have tried and tried and tried. Jessica, cigarettes kill people, and cigarettes are more popular than Kamala Harris. They tried to melon scoop this woman out of the ticket a couple months ago, and they couldn't pull it off.
Who tried to melon scoop her
We
out?
covered it on the show, Jessica.
Elizabeth
I was at that
That is the greatest verb, melon scoop.
Well, it had to be delicate. And why did Biden run? He said he was going to be a bridge to the new generation. Well, that bridge has blown to smithereens because the woman fails under pressure, and now he's stuck with someone who's about as popular as toxic waste. Would you fly an airplane if the pilot was old and rickety and the co-pilot couldn't land it? You'd not fly the plane, you'd drive.
Facts. Jesse Waters kind of has a point, right? Because I guess the good thing for Kamala is that it's just not her that's doing bad, okay, in this administration. It's not just her. Also, Biden is not doing much better either in these new polls that have come out, as his approval rating continues to drop as well. And, you know, that means that they can't blame racism, right? It's not because of racism. Maybe, just maybe, it's because the Biden administration as a whole is doing bad, particularly on the economy, and the American people know it. Again, it's showing up in the poll numbers here.
Our last poll, 54 to 36% say Donald Trump did a better job handling the economy when he was president than Biden has done so far. You aren't announcing anything new necessarily this week. You are just, sort of highlighting and touting what you've done. Is that enough?
Well, what I would say to you is look at where we were when we came into office, when after 4 years of Donald Trump, unemployment was over 6%. And today we are standing here at a time where Unemployment is at historic lows. We've seen inflation come down by 50% over the last year. 11 months straight, inflation has come down. We've recovered. Our economy has recovered faster than any major economy in the entire world. And that's happening because of President Biden's leadership, because of the economic agenda that he's put forward. 2.5 years into this administration, we are just seeing the first impacts of all the historic.
And let's begin with the latest NBC News poll that shows Donald Trump expanding his lead in the 2024 Republican primary, despite facing federal charges, among other legal problems. And while the former president remains popular among Republicans, just over 1/3 of all registered voters view him positively. For more on these latest poll numbers, let's bring in NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki. He's at the big board. Steve, break these numbers down for us.
Yeah, a lot of interesting numbers as we start to look ahead to 2024, both in terms of that Republican primary situation and then the question of whoever emerges on the Republican side against Joe Biden, what dynamics would define that matchup. Let's start by taking a look at the president himself, Joe Biden. The bottom line number here when it comes to his job approval rating in our poll, 43%. This is pretty much where it has been for a while for Joe Biden. Last time we took a poll was back in April. Biden was also at 43% then. There are some concerning numbers here. Any president seeking re-election at this point in his first term, to be sitting there at 43%, that's not a great place to be. We also asked folks in this poll if they were concerned about Biden's physical and mental health. More than 2/3 said it was a big or a moderate concern to them, 68%. So some trouble signs there, some signs of political vulnerability for Joe Biden.
Yeah, so you've seen that, you heard that. Now, again, the mainstream liberal media, they're going to spin Kamala's disastrous poll numbers as, racism. But ultimately, Kamala is tied to Biden, right? And Biden has been a disaster, therefore Kamala is a disaster. I mean, the things that Kamala was specifically assigned to do, like, again, the border, she's just non-existent. Like, she gave up on that, right? I'm not even sure if she's really the border czar anymore. Not entirely sure what Kamala has to do with the border anymore. But, she's just been a total disaster. What it actually really comes down to is the economy. Because under Trump, we had positive wage growth, okay? Unlike the Biden administration, right? Listen to this. Under Trump, from 2017 to 2019, average hourly earnings for all employees adjusted for inflation increased annually. Okay, there was a low unemployment period, right? During the Trump administration, unemployment rates in the United States declined to historic lows. Okay, you also had wage gains that were more significant in a percentage terms for lower income workers than higher income workers. And I think that, again, that kind of defines the Trump economy, right? Now, with the Biden economy, in contrast, what we have is 24 months of effective pay cuts, right? So under Biden economy, you have gotten a pay cut, right? And I want to read about this because I think that ultimately what the approval rating come down to is the economy, right? How are you doing on the economy? It's the economy stupid, right? And I think the Biden administration probably should, focus more on this, okay, than, trying to be woke and all the other stuff they got Kamala doing. Maybe that will help her out, but who knows? I mean, it's hard when, again, you've done as bad as the Biden administration has when it comes to this specific issue. American workers have effectively taken a pay cut for 24 months straight as inflation consistently outpaces wage growth on President Biden's watch, according to federal data. Real average hourly earnings, a measure of wages after adjustments for inflation, have declined year over year for every month dating back to April 2021, just a few months after Biden took office, according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy highlighted the alarming trend in a speech at the New York Stock Exchange on Monday, accusing the Biden administration of, quote, reckless spending that has exacerbated the economic toll on U.S. households. Quote, Americans have received a pay cut for 24 consecutive months, the largest streak in American history as inflation has persisted, McCarthy said in a speech. In fact, since President Biden took office, families have lost the equivalent of $7,400 worth of income, he added. For the latter figure, McCarthy appeared to be referencing a January analysis released by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank. E.J. Antoni, a research fellow for regional economics, determined that the average American family was effectively $7,400 poor under Biden through that month. To reach that figure, Antoni told the Post he pulled federal data on average weekly earnings of U.S. workers and then adjusted for inflation to calculate the typical American's lost wages. Yeah. So, look, again, ultimately, at the end of the day, the poll numbers are a disaster for Biden because the economy. And at this point, I think that Kamala Harris, it's not like she has any bright ideas on how to actually make the economy better or anything like that. So at this point, she really is a drag on the Biden ticket. I mean, she's more unpopular than Biden. And I'm not necessarily sure how the Democrats can go into 2024 with Biden at the top of the ticket, who's lost his mind, and Kamala, who also, in my opinion, has lost her mind as well, too, or at the very least is extremely incompetent. She's aloof. She's goofy. I'm not sure how you have these two individuals on your ticket. But then again, who knows? I mean, this is America where, we have elected people like John Fetterman, Joe Biden, Dianne Feinstein, right? Just because they're Democrats, right? The vote blue, no matter who, is extremely strong. So that could be what the Democrats are counting on in 2024 because, quite honestly, they really don't have anything else to campaign on because this administration has been an absolute disaster from top to bottom. So that's showing up in the polls. We'll see if that actually translates when it comes to the election. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.